GM Crypto News on here. It is March 10th, and before I get into it, please read the description below in the take of showing tokens. And I don't have the webcam again because my camera's just bugging, bro. I don't know what it is, so I'm just gonna go on with this until I figure something out at some point. But I'm just gonna go with this anyways. So looking at the price action of the major tier Bitcoin has gone down once again. Yesterday I was saying that we most likely go down to 77, and we did somewhat touch it, but not exactly. And if we look at the liquidation heat map, it does support it going even testing this white hot liquidation zone at 77. And I think that is our next path for Bitcoin. And for it to go even higher, well, I'm not sure about that yet. If anything, what's possible is that 73.5 is the last support for the bull market thesis to still stay true. And yeah, it's very possible that we could either just do a whole ass leg down like this on the next day, or we'll see a bounce here because it's been down only for a few days, and like maybe up here, maybe it goes even higher. I think at some point it will test 72.5k, whether it goes up first and then goes down, or whether it goes down all the way. Who knows? I'm honestly, could it be that we do the 77 and then consolidation then go higher because sentiment is so bad? But consensus is that 73.5k seems to be support. So that's most likely going to be the final zone. And yeah, if not, then 69k, which as you guys can see is another support here. But in any case, at least in the next couple of days, Bitcoin is still extremely bearish and could still go even lower. And if you look at the altcoins, Ethereum broke its entire trend line. I mean, this is just wow. I mean, wow. I mean, it is somehow at a trend line right now, but I don't know if it will hold it, especially if we have a very good probability of Bitcoin going even lower. So we'll have to see about that. Solana, yep, Solana most likely it's going to go even lower as well. I mean, this chart, you can't really say this is bullish at all. So altcoin wise, the others as well, we are also breaking down below the trend line, which is also a bearish sign, which means it could go even lower as well. So there's most likely still more pain to go with the altcoins, and there's nothing really that much else to say about it, except that this is a pretty bloody market. And if we look at the altcoins here, so DRB is probably the biggest runner right now with Grok, where he's using Clanker to launch a debt relief bot, and this has 3x since yesterday's video, which is quite interesting to see. I wasn't really going to buy this. I was just looking at it. I was like, okay, that looks interesting. But yeah, this is kind of insane to see that there's a lot of interest on base, especially the Grok meta. And this is also super helping Clanker on the other hand, which, I mean, Clanker's not really moving that much, but it's definitely holding up very well. It's outperforming Ethereum at least, which is already a good sign. But things like this holding up very well because it's the medium that launched DRB. And while Ethereum on the other hand is down 10% on the day, well, we'll have to see what happens. Honestly, there's decent probability that we will bounce from this line somehow at some point. Maybe it's gonna go do that, some bit of a shallow bounce before Ethereum goes even lower. Maybe 1500. We'll have to see what happens. But if we do see this bounce here at some point, like it doesn't go immediately to 73.5, then it's probably a good time to take profit, is what I'm going to say here. So let's look at this. I don't think I've ever seen such a unique moment since joining the space. On the one hand, there's a real crisis and meaning emerging with many people questioning the entire basis of the industry. On the other hand, we have a strategic Bitcoin reserve, real institutional interest in stablecoins, and the tokenization of real world assets. The market's severely bipolar. Yeah, this is just absolutely insane. There's so many good news for Bitcoin. However, on the other hand, people are just so bearish. It is very polarized right now. So charts are raced into our bull market gains in just 30 days. Never seen anything like this in my 12 years as a trader. With that said, market dynamics feel like a distant relative of the COVID crash. Not sure when we bottom, but my hunch is that will be a sharp V reversal like in 2020. So if we look at the Bitcoin chart at 2020, right? So there was the whole spiel around here, and then boom, a V-shaped recovery like down here, which is very nice, right? A 3x from the bottom. And could the same thing happen for Bitcoin? I mean, of course it's not as big anymore, but the fact remains that there's a lot of bearish signs here, a lot of capitulation, and that we are pretty much close to a bottom. That doesn't mean that right here is the bottom. For it to confirm a bottom, we would have to close above around 92K ish before we could truly say that this is truly the bottom. But for now, it's still possible that we can go lower before that marks the bottom. 72.5K is most likely the bottom of the bottom. If it's not, then well, that's not going to be looking good. But let's look at this. Who's demonstrating strength? So top performers are Banker, Bot, Glanker, and Grok. Yeah, so essentially the Grok man, he made the DRB token, and that is why this token is going insane. It's all over Twitter, and it could go higher. We'll have to see, but something parabolic like this is usually a time where, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with this, honestly. It is all over the place, and a lot of people are super interested in it. It could keep going a little bit higher before it goes down again, but this is base, so base usually is less GT than Solana, but we'll have to see because these market conditions are pretty bad, so people are going to be super low in this profit. So over 1.7 trillion in value wiped out from the US stock market today. It's just insane. We look at the S&P 500, absolutely breaking every zone here. So if you guys have a 401k, then well, hopefully you take some profits here, because most likely this is going to go even lower, this whole stock market, and most likely we'll retest this channel at some point. And this is usually a very bad sign, at least for Bitcoin as well. This also signifies that Bitcoin goes lower as well because of the stock market due to correlation. So yeah, might be a bit more pain, a couple more weeks before we actually see some release. But yeah, this last thing here, a whale has been very good at shorting BTC during recent price drops with an unrealized profit over 7.5 million. But he said here, he shorted Bitcoin at 96.5K, and for a week, Bitcoin plummeted below 80K. He closed a short position to the bottom at 79K with perfect timing. Due to Trump executive order, Bitcoin soared over 94K, and he entered a short position at the peak. What's the next move? He is now setting additional short positions at 92K, 92.6, and 70.74. So this kind of just confirms my thesis that a 73K is most likely the bottom, and maybe a wick down to 70. It's possible around there because that's where he seems to be taking profit. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. Maybe it just bounces and he shorts again. It might be interesting to study these whales because there's most likely insiders from Donald Trump. But if this is actually the case, then this supports the hypothesis for Bitcoin actually bouncing higher before it does another leg down. And what would be super insane to see, by the way, for Bitcoin to go even super lower is if we had an insane V-shaped recovery like tomorrow and it was like 15% up, and then as fast as it went up, as fast as it'll go down the next day. That would be probably the worst scenario to happen if it did this huge impulse upwards. But what would be more preferable is some sort of grind higher, like the next few days is up only. I mean, we had 5 red candles in a row, which is pretty rare from all things considered. And if you look at the last time that happened within this time frame, it was around here, right? So around here, there was 5 red candles or 4 red candles, and then a bit of green on the next day, 2 greens, and then the next red. And usually with these bearish trends, they usually like to repeat that sort of thing. So it could be that tomorrow's green, and then we could see some retest of what it seems to be that he wants to short at 92. If that's the case, then it's very good time to take some risk off if you haven't yet. I don't know, for the probability of they keep going down to 73Ks, I'm not really sure if that will super happen. There's more probability of a bit of a bounce, especially how many red candles it's been. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say in this video. Could be some more green, and there's nothing really to say about altcoin wise because nothing is strong. But if we see this green, then the altcoins will be green again, but most likely not because people are buying them, but because people are buying the majors and are FOMOing in. So yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say in this video, and I'll see you guys.